If you ask any veteran grappler on what the journey to mastery involves, you'll get a range of answers. Yet, the secrets for Josh Hinger may be more unconventional than you think. In this episode of RAW Grappling Podcast, Josh Hinger talks commentary, competing in MMA, and his commitment to being a lifelong martial artist. All right, RAW Grappling Podcast is back, and today we've got Josh Hinger with us, and of course, Damon Robinson. Josh, good evening from the UK. Good morning in San Diego.
You, sir. That was great.
How's it going over there?
It's great. I spent the past 4 months in the European winter, and it's a tad different from San Diego winter. Yeah, and it's nice to be home and be able to walk outside with shorts and a t-shirt and not suffer frostbite.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's been a common theme for us the past couple of episodes, the weather discussion, but cutting straight into it, you and I met actually, and I remember vividly, we spoke with Lucas Barbosa, and I walked over and you're like, man, we just got off the plane. We were in Brazil, and then I was back home, I closed on a house, I flew to London, and I looked at Lucas and I was like, you guys must be exhausted. And you both kind of joked with each other, and Lucas said, we've been here before, this is just another day. And I was kind of blown away because, as a commentator, we're always hearing, I had a perfect camp, I had a perfect weight cut. It couldn't have gone better. And my first interaction was, it's been a week, but all good. That was pretty cool.
There's no ideal situation for competitions, right? Like, or super fights, or if you want to be a prima donna and never have to like stress yourself out with travel or time changes, you're never going to have any opportunities, Obviously, the most ideal situation would be if everybody came to San Diego and I could sleep in my own bed, wake up in the morning, and then go fight. That would be great, but it's literally impossible. It happens once a year when Fight to Win comes through San Diego, and that's actually, it is really nice when that happens. I can sleep in my own bed, wake up, go fight, go back home, sleep in my own bed again. But that was a wild trip. Yeah, it was really a wild. Even when I signed up for it, when I was talking to Tiny, and she asked me about it, and I was like, "Oh man, this is 1 weekend after our trip to Brazil." Like, I was like, it's the opposite in so many ways. It was in Brazil, I was fighting in a gi, IBJJF rules, in the far southern hemisphere, and then 1 week later in the UK, no gi, submission only. And it was a tournament versus a super fight. But yeah, it was crazy. But, to be honest, it's fun. It's fun. And, what's a little adversity? If you can't jump over some hurdles, maybe you don't belong.
Do you think that gives you an edge kind of after all of those years of being able to go through those types of circumstances, any and all, any hemisphere, any rule set?
I think it kind of takes some stress off of you, yeah, actually, because if you think about it, you're like, oh man, these are the most unideal circumstances. And so if you lose, you can't really beat yourself up for it. It's like, okay, you tried, but you had a lot of hurdles to jump over. But I don't use that really as an excuse, but you just go out there and do your best. As long as you can go out there and do your best, you'll be all right. And that's all you can do, right? So you don't have to feel bad about it. And this is not something I came up with myself. It's something my coach has drilled into my head over the past 7 years. Galvao, he always says, just do your best, do your best. That's all you have to do is do your best. And it's a very simple thing to think about. It's just, you have one objective, is do your best. And you can't do anything else. Right? You can't give more than your best. Your best is your best. So the only regret you can have is if you don't give your best. So it doesn't matter how long you have to travel or how tired you are or if you're cutting weight. As long as you gave your best, you can rest with peace, win or lose. So that's it.
Yeah, amen. Amen. I mean, but the thing is, like, it strikes me, you hear in so many different sports, like, the football player who only does home games with a jockstrap he hasn't washed all season, or, the ski racers who are pedantic about the edges and the tune, or the guy who needs a 12 hours of sleep minimum before match day. Are you guys just kind of immune to that or more immune to that as athletes who compete so regularly compared to some others, especially in combat sports?
I would say, yeah. When we arrived in UK, like it wasn't ideal, but it wasn't terrible either. It wasn't like I've been through worse, I've been through worse. We had to fly to Kazakhstan one time. You know, that's like another 8 hours past the UK. It's like double the distance, and the time change is the exact opposite, and the food is not very good. And you know, there's just worse situations. I've heard stories from Galval about some of the old school guys like Jacare, and Jacare took a red eye flight to the World Championships, landed the morning of the tournament, weighed in, competed, and won. So
Crazy.
yeah, if you want to be a legend, you got to do legendary shit. You know, you can't. Not every day can be sunshine and roses. So, but yeah, we've been through some pretty weird circumstances over the years, and yeah. So you just look, you know, and when you go through the really bad ones, you just have to think of it as a mental test. You know, it's a test. You know, are you gonna let these unideal circumstances break you or not? And then, you know, once you surpass that you know, terrible situation, now you have something to look back on. Like, okay, so the next time I have a bad situation, I look back and say, well, at least this is not like Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It could be worse. So this is an easy way to keep yourself in a positive mindset. And really, that's all it is. It's about positive mindset. And I will say, a lot of times in training, it's very strange. But sometimes if I get a full night of sleep and a lot of rest, and I go train on a Monday morning feeling super rested, I don't feel very good. And then sometimes I'll have a horrible sleepless night. I'll sleep maybe 2 or 3 hours, and I'll wake up and I'm like, I'll just go to training like, oh my God, I'm going to get destroyed today. You know, these guys are going to fucking destroy me. And then somehow that doesn't happen. You go out there and you end up giving your best, you know, practice performance that you've given the whole month. So really what it comes down to it in these competitions is you just get an adrenaline pump.
Yeah.
And you just go out and do what you got to do for a few hours. And then you can go collapse in the hotel room later. You know what I mean? The adrenaline takes over, and you go out there, you give it everything you have, and it's all right.
Do you not think, Josh, like you said there, the adrenaline thing, I think is a crazy part of competition, because like we train every day and stuff like this, and I actually like training when I feel like shit, because when I'm feeling bad or not feeling myself or lacking energy or had a bad night or a busy day at work or whatever, and I just don't want to train, you know, and you go to train in that situation and you train through those bits and pieces. I always think when I'm at a competition or something like this, it's something I've always had trouble with, and I try and figure it out. Like, I never feel myself on competition day. I always think, I wake up competition day and I'm thinking, right, I'm on at 10 o'clock. That means I've got to get up at 6, eat this food at this time, eat that food at this time, make sure I feel right, make sure I slept the night before, maybe have a massage the night before, hype it up into this thing, which we do like every day anyway. Like we can go to, sometimes I'll go to work or something and have like a really busy day, or something's happened, I've been here and I've literally not had any food. And you think, oh, I've got to train in an hour, I haven't eaten for like 10 hours, what am I going to do? And you think you go to the gym and have a really good session. But then you get to a competition, it's no different, but all of a sudden you're trying to put all these stars aligned and make sure that, like I said, the massage is there, the 8 hours of sleep is there, the meals are prepped and planned for the next day, and then you go out and just get smashed anyway, and you think, well, what was the point of that? You just got to ride it out, and it's weird, but yes, it's just a strange thing. And like I said, I keep thinking, right, this year I'm going to nail it. I'm going to go to competition feeling good. And I go to competition and something's happened. My match has been moved forward 2 hours or 3 hours, and you think, oh no, I need to have a quick more bit of porridge or something. You think, what are we doing this for? just go and do it.
You know? I know this thought. Yeah, what the fuck am I doing here? Why am I doing this to myself?
Yeah.
But no, the truth is, I think there is a big difference between training and competition, right? And it's because of your mind. It's the pressure you put on yourself. The thing is, for me and here in San Diego, the competition training group, we call it just comp class, is savagely difficult. Mm-hmm. And every day we treat it like it's a competition, and you really, really want to beat each other just out of sheer pride and ego. And so actually I get the same jitters when I go to training.
Yeah. Because
I know it's going to be savagely difficult, and you have to, and I do go through all this checklist of things that you just named. Like I prep my food, I make sure I have enough sleep. You know, I I place my massages at certain times during the week. I schedule my workouts to make sure that they don't destroy my training session. And I put all this prep into just my weekly training schedule. So yeah, actually for me, it is quite routine.
Okay.
When you show up to a competition, but also I think I've done more than 200 matches at Black Belt.
Wow.
And so even if it's not every day, the pre-competition routine is very much a routine for me because I've done it so many times. You know, and even if you think about a tournament specifically, you're not going to have more than 4 or 5 matches maximum. So if you divide, 200 by 4 or 5, what's that?
Like 50 odd.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, 50 to 80 or something like that. So yeah, it is quite routine for us, for me at least. But and maybe not so much now, like the competition training is because I'm kind of the old guard on the team. Everyone that's there is a bit younger than me now, and they came after I was there. Whereas when I first showed up here in San Diego, it was 2014. I was the new guy, and the competition team was Keenan Cornelius, JT Torres, and just a bunch of other monsters. A bunch of other just heroic jiu-jitsu fighters. And every day I was just struggling to survive. It wasn't even about trying to win. It was like, just don't be a bitch and like fall out of the class halfway through it. Like, make sure you can get through it. Make sure you can at least give everybody a good fight. Even if you lose, at least give yourself that respect and dignity of making everyone work really hard, And really those mornings were very stressful. Yeah, I would have an adrenaline pump right before training because I knew it was going to be so hard and I wasn't adapted to it. Yeah, and I hear this from visitors. When people come to visit San Diego, they have kind of the same idea. When they come into the training room in San Diego, they have a bit of an adrenaline pump because they know it's going to be really, really hard, And it's kind of like a tournament. It's kind of like a competition.
I feel like that's something that is so important in any kind of high level activity. I mean, I'll pick an obvious example where the whole not quitting and giving your best is integral is like special forces training, special operations training. The kind of stuff those guys have to go through to get ready for an actual, operation or whatever they're going to go out and do. It's that same kind of philosophy of just being extremely comfortable with being uncomfortable. Yeah. We, Damon and I were sort of following some of your recent activities, and I don't know if you've been to Kazakhstan in your recent travels and had the horse meat for breakfast. I can say it was very interesting. The bacon was good too. But what have you been up to? We were tracking you down on Insta, and I know you've been on the move quite a bit, only recently back to Cali.
So I was on the road for 4 months and 4 days, and actually, it was the invitation from you guys that kicked off my entire European tour. So actually, I feel like I should thank you guys because
we need some commission, Josh. Commission.
What's that?
We need commission.
Yeah. The government's taking their slice of your commission. Yeah. So I was just planning to go to Brazil for a few days, come back to San Diego, and just have this one match in a gi for the BJJ Stars, and then Tiny dropped into my email account and asked me to go to the UK, and I thought, it's only 1 week apart. I'll be in shape, I was like, okay, I'll be in good shape. The rule set is different. It's in Brazil it was in the gi IBJJF rules, and in the UK it was no gi, submission only, and a tournament. And the weight class was a bit heavier than what I was walking at. But, I hadn't been to Europe in quite a while, and I have never done a European seminar tour. So I asked Tiny if she could just forego the flight home, let me book it myself, and I'll just book my own flights at a later date. And so, I didn't even have a seminar tour planned until I was invited by RAW. And then I thought, okay, well, I have some friends in France and Germany. I was like, maybe I can go do a few seminars, and that would be cool. And then 4 months later, I was still on the road. It was I had gone all the way from Europe across the planet to Thailand, and then I went back to Europe, and then I went to Dubai, and then I went back to Europe. It was crazy. I went. If you look at a physical map of the planet, like a flat map, literally crossed the entire map and back.
I saw that one you put up on Instagram actually.
Yeah.
Just this is where I've been in 4 months.
Yeah, I just started scribbling on the map. I said that anyway, all the way I went to the southern hemisphere, back to the northern hemisphere, all the way to the eastern hemisphere, all the way back to the western hemisphere. Yeah, the only thing that would have truly completed the journey is if I could have somehow dropped into South Africa. That would have like completed the entire map. But yeah, once you guys invited me to the UK, I thought, oh, what a great opportunity to go see Europe and travel Europe. I've been to Europe many times, back in 2013, 14, but I have never been there for seminars, for like a jiu-jitsu tour. And it turned out to be just one of the most epic adventures that I've had. And I was so grateful for it. I did 22 seminars, 2 competitions, and yeah, it was just a really great time. I think I touched 10 different countries, maybe.
Was your favorite country any one in particular, or any experiences you'd be able to share?
Almost
with us that
nothing
really stuck
beats
out?
Thailand. I don't know if you guys have been to Thailand, but nothing beats Thailand.
Oh yeah.
So the thing about Thailand is, excuse me, one of my original students when I first started teaching jiu-jitsu, his name was Alex, and Alex was a white belt when I started teaching. He was one of my very first students. He was in like the first class that I ever taught as an instructor. I was a purple belt when I met him, and I eventually gave him his blue belt. And he went off, and I left. We were in Arizona at the time, and I left Arizona. He left Arizona at the same time. He went to China for internship. I went to Indiana for graduate school. He ends up going to Phuket and teaming up with Roger Huerta. Do you guys remember Roger, the Matador? So he was based at Tiger Muay Thai in Phuket. And anyways, so this guy Alex, I hadn't seen him since for years. I hadn't seen him, but he stayed in Phuket forever. He became a Phuket guy, and a Phuket guy is a guy who visits Phuket and then never leaves. He's been there for 12 years now, I think, 10 or 12 years. So, anyways, after working for Tiger Muay Thai for 10 years, him and all the other coaches decided to open their own gym, and I invested in their gym. And so they're building it right now, and we're having the grand opening next month.
Nice.
Yeah, it's called Bong Tao Muay Thai MMA. It's called Bong Tao. Yeah, it's Bong Tao. And, I don't know if you guys have been to Phuket, but the Tiger Road is in Chalong, and Chalong is in the center of the island, and there's no beach access. You have to drive 20, 30 minutes to find a beach. So these guys were like nuts to this. Tiger wasn't taking care of them at all because of COVID and the pandemic. And they didn't have work at Tiger, but they weren't allowed to work anywhere else either. So they were like, fuck this. We need to go. Sorry if I don't know if I can curse on that. You can bleep that if you want. They went and opened their own gym, and they opened it on the beach. And it's on the completely opposite side of the island. The area is called Bong Tao. And so I invested in this gym, and Alex Volkanovski is the other investor. And then there's the four guys from Tiger who founded the gym. And one of them being Frank Hickman. Frank Hickman is Israel Adesanya's wrestling coach. And George Hickman is his brother, and George was the MMA coach from Tiger. So these guys all came together, Alex, the Hickman brothers, and the strength conditioning coach, and they opened Bong Tao. And then they opened up some equity positions for the investors. And so I went out there basically to see the gym. And I spent a month there. And I'm headed back, actually, just in a few weeks. I'm going to spend April out there for the grand opening. So, yeah. I'm excited about that. It's a big thing. And it's so far that they haven't even had the grand opening yet, and their classes are full, and it's nice. It's nice to have it's a beautiful place right next to the beach. You can train and literally just go jump in the water, 1 kilometer away. It's really great situation.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
rewinding back to the introduction, Damon and I are booking the next available flights for April, man. The weather, it does start to wear
You
this
guys
time of the
you
year.
have to go. It was the most just wonderful place I've been to. So yeah, so nothing beats Thailand. Nothing. It's one of the best places you could ever visit, and this gym is a beautiful gym. So if you guys ever get a chance to head out there, go out there, let me know, and I'll let them know you're coming. They'll take care of you.
Where is it, Josh? Remind us where it was in Thailand.
It's called Bang Tao. Bang Tao is
Bang Tao.
Yeah, Bangtao. This is the local region. The district is called Talong, Thalong. Similar to Chalong, which is where Tiger is, but this is Talong, Thalong. And the Bang Tao is like the local area. So it's a nice spot.
Yeah. I'm aware of some of the differences in the locations and so on, where some people favor one thing when they travel out to Phuket because of the exact thing you mentioned. So it's really interesting to kind of think about from like a business side of the whole thing, like why that was chosen and so on. It's pretty cool. And it's great to hear you're part of that. One thing that stuck out to Damon and I when we were preparing for this episode is, which I didn't know as well before you came over to London and we met, was that not only have you been involved in martial arts as a coach and a competitor and an investor, as you've highlighted, but also you've done some commentary. Is that right?
Yeah, just for jiu-jitsu commentary. Yeah, I've never done any MMA commentary, but yeah, and to be honest, I love doing it. It's super fun. It's kind of like podcasting, but longer, and you have some matches to watch. So yeah, I did some commentary for ACB, to the Absolute Championship Bearcoot. Yes. Remember ACB back in?
Yeah, we were talking about it yesterday. Yeah, literally. Yeah.
I teamed up with Robert Drysdale on a few of their events, and I've done some fight to wins, and I did a few IBJJF tournaments. I did PANS. I think PANS, maybe it was 2018. Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed doing it. Just like I love podcasting. I love just sitting down, talking some shit, watching some jiu-jitsu. It's a good time.
What do you reckon makes good commentary?
The dynamic between the two people, right? If you have to, if you have an awkward interaction with your partner, then you're going to have a hard time. That's why I think Keenan and I always had a really good podcast, because we had a really good banter with each other. And me and Robert Drysdale, we have a really good interaction. Also, I think we're very similar minded people. And then when I did PANS, I was with Sean Williams. And Sean Williams is great. He's a legend, a legend. It was really easy to interact with him too. But there was a few times when I was on a Fight to Win, and I just kind of popped on like as a guest commentator for a few matches. And the person who was with me, I didn't know them, and we had a really hard time vibing, and really it wasn't smooth at all. So I really think that's what it is. It's the banter and the chemistry between the two people.
Yeah, it can make a huge difference. Do you think, because this kind of focus of this podcast is on grappling, is there anything like that you have picked up on either in your coverage of jiu-jitsu or I'm sure watching MMA and so on, that is either kind of under or overemphasized when looking at grappling? Do kind of people miss up on some things when you often hear a lot of commentary? You think they're kind of missing putting this out there, or bringing people in, giving people some insight about this? Or is there things that are often completely overemphasized that you see?
I think you have to have a really nice balance of explaining what is happening in the match and talking about things that are related to jiu-jitsu, but not exactly what's happening in the match. So I don't want to name names because I've heard some really terrible commentary also over the years, and I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to name the event either, because you probably wouldn't be able to figure it out. But someone who I do really like is Kendall Rusing. When she's commentating a match, I think she does a really good job. She really focuses on what's happening in the match and explains kind of what each opponent wants to do and what they might be thinking about or considering. And she's very sharp and she's very enthusiastic, and I really enjoy her technical take on the matches. But at the same time, they don't deviate from the match ever. You know what I mean? And I feel like it can get kind of old just hearing about the match. And But I've made the mistake on the other end of the spectrum before where I deviated from the matches a little bit too much. And people were commenting, can you please talk about the match? So there's a balance, there's a balance to have. Like, you need to have some technical explanation about what's going on in the match, especially if you're a high level black belt competitor like Kendall. Her take is quite important as an insider, someone who's often in the match and knows what it feels like to be under the lights on the stage. It's important to get her insights because she has those insights that most commentators don't have. But at the same time, I think also it's nice to deviate and maybe, you could talk about the competitors in a different aspect other than the match, or, just talking about other topics around jiu-jitsu that aren't specifically, because the matches aren't always exciting, right? Sometimes they hit a lull, a slow point. And I think that's a good time to like kind of digress about something a little bit different. Maybe not conspiracy theories and cryptocurrency the way Keenan likes to talk about, but keep it relevant to jiu-jitsu, of course, but just a little more flavor, and this is something I think Sean Williams and I had, and Drysdale and I, we were able to kind of talk about jiu-jitsu, but just not exactly about the match that's happening. And I think there has to be balance between the two.
I know exactly what you mean because, on one hand, it can be really, really difficult when you're managing everything else going on. And depending on your role, if you're play-by-play, are you responsible for like interviews only, or are you responsible for color? If you're a pundit, maybe. I remember even Eddie Bravo was back in the day, like his only role on the UFC was to do like officiating and rules or judging, right? And that was or Rich Franklin, we did ONE FC, like we would bring him in between the rounds and he'd have the sliding scales and talk just about scoring. And he had to chunk 5-minute round of action into a 30-second spot. And you mentioned obviously about the jiu-jitsu commentary earlier. Yeah, her commentary is really great in staying like ultra present in the fight, but not getting ahead or behind on the action and giving it in a digestible sort of way to the viewer that's illuminating and insightful, but not overcomplicated or completely missing the point, which is tough, especially in grappling, where there are many nuances and so on. Yeah, it's definitely something to as far as like thinking about your craft, it's worth taking on board.
Sorry,
go on.
I'm just
sorry.
going ahead and drop his name. I don't dislike him at all. So Sean Patrick Flannery, I think the actor, he's a commentator sometimes, and he does the complete opposite, where he doesn't follow the action of the match too closely or in too much detail, but he misses so much, and he's just like having a conversation with his buddy, basically, which I like, you know what I mean? But there's times where like he doesn't even know the names of the competitors, you know what I mean? Or like the names of the techniques. I mean, he's a black belt, and I'm sure he's a good black belt, but his focus is completely not on the match at all, you know what I mean? And that's kind of the opposite end of the spectrum from Kendall's perspective.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with him, but I mean, I can say, in defense of anybody going in to step behind the mic, it can be a very difficult thing where you have expectations of particular producers or what the requirements are for the platform that you're going out on. Or if you're the play-by-play guy, you're responsible with people talking in your ear, bring us in, take us to commercial, don't miss this plug, right? So there can be so many other things that are going on in what is a delivery. Like people think, oh, you're just going to go and sit down and commentate and talk about some fights. It's not exactly a fight companion episode. There are often a lot of other wheels in motion that can make it quite an interesting experience. And every time it could be, the whole being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Yeah. Anything can happen in live TV. Anything can happen. And Damon, we've had a bit of fun getting ready for this. You've been doing a bit of looking on YouTube. What have you got for us? I think we're going to look at some commentary bits and bobs.
Talking about
Mr.
crazy
Robinson.
commentators. Like Chris said, we're just had a whiz through earlier. Do you ever remember seeing any of this? There's some really funny stuff that you can find. I'm just going to share the screen here for you to have a look. You see that, okay? Do you ever remember watching this?
Diaz smells the opening. Because if his name is Keith Johnson, then the Dean of Mean makes no sense. You're right, Mike Goldberg. Catches a quick jab.
That was a straight left.
Yeah, it was, pardon me. Illegal. Soars again. And Chuck Liddell. Here were great heavyweights like Mike Tyson, George Holmes,
Chuck Liddell.
in years past. But still, as a jiu-jitsu fighter, he's unaccustomed to being on the top.
Michael Jordan-esque in his grappling skills is Travis Lutter.
No, it's not. No.
He's not that
No, it's not that good.
His precision is really precise.
Highly touted. You almost want to just sit back and watch Sokoju and soak it in.
Jordan. Kobe Bryant, maybe?
No, it's not
Tim
that good.
Duncan?
I don't know any other basketball players. I really don't. Larry Bird?
Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan.
Elbow.
No.
You hear that? Speaking of Portuguese, that's Japanese, brother. Oh, really? Thank you. I should have known that. You're the one married to a Japanese chick. That is correct.
The moment that really stuck out for me in that one was the one about Travis Lutter when he was going to fight Anderson Silva, who was like a good grappler and a guy who was able to get his game going in an interesting period in MMA, you know, and or even Mayhem Miller being a jiu-jitsu guy and, you know, maybe not being comfortable with being on top. That was some good ones there, no?
I feel you do have to give the commentators some slack, right? As you said, it's a difficult job, and at the same time, they're you know, if the action isn't present, you have to kind of fill that void with your presence, you know. And it's a hard job, but it's fun, and I feel like you really can't give them a hard time because it's not a job that anybody can just jump in there and do. You know what I mean?
Well, we might as well. While we're on the topic, we may as well give Chris a bit of a hard time as well because we got one of his calls here as well.
Oh,
I know,
no.
I'd be pleased to see.
But before we do, I just want to give a shout out to Mike Goldberg. He's like the nicest guy as well. Like I've met him and we've worked alongside each other a couple times, and he was just like super, super, super cool. And that guy, again, you know, he built an incredible thing with the UFC. I mean, his calls are just legendary, right? And so, you know. Some good ones about precision being precise.
Yeah,
Anyways, what have you got here for us,
Look at this little gem I
Damon?
found here. I think Chris was getting a little bit overexcited at one point, but I thought it was quite funny.
That lock on. Can he
Oh, yeah.
force
So,
enough
a bit of
pressure
context.
there to bring the top out? This is serious times, isn't it, for the contender?
It's a tricky space, but I think it's going to be tough to finish. There's a couple of factors. Number one, Dos Santos has got breathing room. If you look at, oh no, that's a tap.
Sharpish has done it. The champion does it. Chris was saying that there was breathing space, but there was leverage on there, and he was cranking that neck like no one's business. Levered out the win. Oh my goodness! What a defense of the title.
Complete fighter right there, isn't it? Right?
Nah, but that's forgivable. You know what I mean? And sometimes, you know, it looks like there was breathing space, but you know, you don't know unless you're inside of it. Nah, it's all right. It's forgivable.
Yeah, I thought so too. Like, I thought there was a couple of things, like, you know, it can be a little more tricky to finish when he's kind of turning in and the arm wasn't completely underneath. What I missed was that Sebastian Psherbich was actually reaching underneath the other side of his body and increasing the angle on that choke, right? And I was looking down at my notes, and it was, you know, nearing the end of that round. I was thinking, how am I going to score this? And I was thinking all these other things. And I remember thinking, all right, and does he actually have space up against the cage to get the torque on that? You know, it looked a little loose. I thought, it was safe, right? But commentator's curse, huh?
It's all right. It's all right. But there's no excuse. Like in the previous clip, they called Chuck Liddell. Like, there's just no excuse for that. You know, how do you not know who Chuck Liddell is? Like, maybe if it's a Polish fighter that you've never heard of and their name is spelled in a way that you have no idea how to pronounce, it's forgivable. But to mispronounce Chuck Liddell's name as Chuck Liddell, like, come on, man.
I think it's important as well. Like you're talking about the synergy of the commentators doing it. I always think, because I also follow my background, like I used to be heavily into bodybuilding and stuff like that. I've moved away from there, and now all I do is grapple, basically. But there's a big thing. There was a period of time when I used to chuck people on the commentary for these shows who were not bodybuilders, and they didn't really know what they were talking about. And I've seen the same things happen before. And they started changing it up and trying a few bits and pieces. And I think there's like perfect synergy for commentary, in my opinion, is having someone on there who can lead a conversation, get the crowd going, and make the match actually feel exciting, because they can narrate a match. You know, that you could see something going on in front of you, and how it's being narrated to you can just change the whole atmosphere of that event. You know, so it's important. But I think it's also important having someone there who knows the sport, who competes in the sport, is active in the sport, knows who's in the ring or on the mat, and can actually give that side of it. Like you say, Kendall, she's super good at it because she knows it. But having that synergy with someone else also is massively favorable, I think.
Yeah, you're right about having maybe an expert in one seat, and then having an athlete in the other seat. You know, and they can complement each other and help each other. And you know, this is like Sean Williams and I. You know, Sean Williams, great jiu-jitsu black belt, you know, academy owner, been commentating forever, just knows everything about jiu-jitsu. He can recall matches from 90. He's like, oh, remember that match in 98 at the Worlds? And I'm like, no, I don't actually. But he's an encyclopedia of jiu-jitsu, and then I'm an athlete, you know, and I was in the, you know, on the match just the year before. So I think that's a really nice balance to have.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Damon,
you were a bodybuilder, Damon?
Not competitively, but that's all I used to do. So I went through a period of time. I was bodybuilding as such for like 10 years, maybe more. I went into coaching people a little bit more. A few things happened in my personal life, which meant I couldn't really compete through, but I lost interest in it so bad. I remember when I first started jiu-jitsu, I was like, I think I was like 112, 114 kilos. Just this horrible mess.
Yoked.
Yeah, just couldn't move my arm. And when I started jiu-jitsu, it was so hard. Like I could still remember it. The first round I ever did, I went into my friend's gym. I just went there to start doing one-to-ones to try and get a bit fitter. And I was doing actually like MMA-based one-on-ones. And I was doing this, and I think, I want to do MMA now. Like, this is what I want to do. And we started grappling. And I knew nothing about striking. And we'd done a few grappling rounds, and I really enjoyed it. And I still remember the first roll I ever did with somebody. We've gone into the corner of this room. We're just rolling around. I'm just like this absolute mess, just on top. I remember it was about 2.5, 3 minutes in. I was blacking out. I was in absolute pain, and I'm thinking, what is going on? I never ever felt fatigue like it. I was rolling for like 2 minutes, mate.
Yeah.
I remember it to this day, but you obviously progressed from there. Lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, for sure.
I can breathe now. I can get through a round. Okay.
You know, funny. I used to teach jiu-jitsu to David Henry. You know David Henry?
Yes, I do. Yeah, wrestler.
Second.
Is he?
No. He's a bodybuilder, but I think he took
David Henry
second or third at Mr. Olympia. Yeah, he never won, but just a massive human being. Just a professional top level bodybuilder, and he was the only professional bodybuilder who was serving in the armed forces as active duty also. Yeah, and really great guy, just an awesome human. And but just massive, he's so jacked. And I'm teaching him jiu-jitsu, and I would just make a kimura grip on his arm, and I'm not cranking the kimura at all. I'm just holding it, and he's tapping from the pressure on his forearms from my forearms. You know what I mean? Like my forearm was crushing the muscle on his forearm, and he was just tapping from that. Because bodybuilding muscles they're kind of fluffy, right? They're meant to be big and look nice. They're not meant to be dense and combat ready. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You're trying to like pack a bunch of pillows under your skin, you know, and you look aesthetically pleasing. But the problem is, man, I could crush his forearm muscle with just mine, and he would tap. And I think about you know, if you look at like a Muay Thai fighter, they're not big and strong or muscular. They're just really fit. They look like triathletes. Mm-hmm. But if you've ever been kicked by a professional Muay Thai fighter, I don't even think I have by an actual strictly professional Muay Thai fighter. I've just been kicked by MMA fighters. But their bone density is fucking insane.
Sort of like kick down palm trees and stuff.
They're just the density of their shin and their muscles. And if your muscles are not conditioned for that kind of like impact or compression, it's like dropping a butcher's knife onto a marshmallow. You know what I'm talking about? It's kind of like that, you know. That bone density will cut right through the fluff
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I felt with David. You know, like he never did jiu-jitsu. He wanted to learn a little bit. You know, he's like a real top level bodybuilder. He looks massive, and but his muscles they couldn't handle that kind of compression because they never did that.
Yeah, man. Interesting. Interesting. I never used to have that problem so much, but I remember, and it's still now, like we've got some big guys in the gym now who have had like powerlifting backgrounds and stuff, and they're getting much better. Like, but you see from my own experience, and when you see these guys come to the gym as well, I see the biggest difference just in the flexibility. You know, like you're talking about sticking a Kimura on someone and crushing their forearms just with the bone density, like. Same thing like with Kimura, you know, you get it on someone, it gets about there, and it's like, oh, you know that's just gonna pop. It's
can't even go past your hip.
No, it's tough. It really is tough. I remember it. I lost quite a lot of weight quite quickly actually, and with my training, whatever I've done, I've always just done it. You know, gone all in. You know, if I was bodybuilding, it was all in. The whole lifestyle was all in. Same with grappling and jiu-jitsu now. So I feel like I got to where I needed to be in terms of actually being able to grapple reasonable quickly, but some people hold on to that heavy lifting all the way through and consistently power lift and do this and do that, always riddled with injuries as well. Always.
I really think weightlifting really helps my jiu-jitsu a lot, but at the same time, if I get a little too consistent and I get a little too obsessed with the weightlifting, I feel that the tightness affects me in a negative way. It does. And I have to find this balance where I need to maintain my flexibility, but also try to stay strong. But sometimes if you get off center and start going one direction on the spectrum, even my movement feels not very good. I don't feel so fluid. You know, if you have the strength, you start to rely on the strength. You know what I mean? And when you don't have the strength, you rely on the movement. And I notice it in myself when I get too strong, I don't move so much. I just kind of like hunker down, like and grind through people. But like right now, for example, I'm quite thin. I lost a bit of muscle because I didn't touch the weights for 4 months. And you know, you can imagine traveling, not eating well, not sleeping well. Pretty much everything that you need to do to maintain strength as an athlete, I didn't have. You know. I didn't lift weights. Maybe I think I lifted weights 5 times in the whole 4 months. And so I lost a lot of my muscle density. I lost a lot of my strength. But I went to training, you know, last week and this week. I feel fine. You know, I can do well with everyone. I'm not getting my ass kicked. But I'm moving a lot better. I feel my movement is really good because I don't have the strength to rely on. So now I have to kind of lean back on my transitions and my flow as opposed to just sitting there and grinding through something with power.
Amazing. Well, that's some good intel on the if you go against the new guy who's got a bodybuilding background and you can't get him into a triangle, maybe go for the bicep slicer, right? There could be some vulnerability
forearm
there.
Crush.
The forearm crush, yeah.
The forearm crush, yeah. I want to drag this one back actually because on the topic of commentary, Josh, we were interested. You know, we did have the chance to talk about kind of, you know, some of your experiences and thoughts and some funny tape there. Would you be up for checking out a little segment with us and doing a little commentary or something like that? Damon's got a surprise.
I'm gonna whack this up. See how we get on with it.
Hopefully,
I don't know. I have no idea what he's got. But if you got it ready, Damon, are you ready to go? Damon's ready to go. He's going to share the screen, and we'll see what you have to say about this one.
It's not one of my own matches. Oh, it is one of my own matches. I knew you guys were going to do this to me. I literally predicted. I was like, they're going to throw up one of my old matches. Yeah, this was my last.
Look at this.
This was my last MMA fight.
How old were you here?
23, I think.
Really?
Yeah, this was in Hawaii. Yeah, this was in Hawaii. 2005, I think.
It was 2005.
The year was 2005, an interesting period in MMA history. The Ultimate Fighter finale and Josh Hinger taking on Johnny Guns.
Yeah, this is my only loss. Why? I have 5 fights, 4 wins, and you guys choose the loss.
We couldn't find them. They're buried in the internet vault.
You know, actually, I found one just yesterday. I have it. It's on VHS tape.
Hey, look, we're going.
Are we gonna watch this whole fight?
No. I think no, I won't watch the whole
I'm
fight.
curious though. I'm curious. Talk us through, because I think this is really interesting. Damon, can you turn the volume down just a touch, a little bit on the video?
Can you kill the volume completely? Yeah, there you go. So,
What happened?
So actually, I think I won the first round here because I think I took him down. And to be honest, I don't think it was a very exciting fight. We kind of stayed up in this clench position for most of it. But in this first round, I remember I took him down, and I made this huge mistake of trying to shoot a darce. But I had just learned a darce like 2 weeks before. You know, I was a blue belt. I was a blue belt here, and Johnny was a brown belt. And I was kind of nervous to spend too much time on the ground, because I had won most of my other fights with submissions. But he was also a really good striker. And so I wasn't really sure where to take it. You know, do I take him down and try to fight with a brown belt? But at that time, I didn't realize, the belt levels really are irrelevant in an MMA fight. Not completely irrelevant, but they're not so important. But he held me in this guillotine for a minute. I ended up taking him down. Yeah, and then I'm going to escape the guillotine. But I really wish I had just stayed on top. You know, I wish I hadn't tried to shoot the stupid darce. I wish I had just stayed on top and just rained down some pain. And this is actually the only time in the whole fight that we hit the mat. After this, once we get back up, we stayed on the feet the entire fight, which is not my game. You know, I'm a wrestler, jiu-jitsu fighter. I'm not a striker. But I had never had a fight stay on the feet. I've never had that experience. So I thought, okay, well, maybe this is a good time to do that. And so right here, exactly. And then he was able to he got right back up. And I wasn't very proficient with guillotines back then either.
I was going to say, imagine hitting one of those on him now. Johnny Gunn would have suffered a defeat.
Yeah, I didn't start developing the guillotine game until I was a purple belt. But it was an interesting fight. You know, we just beat the snot out of each other for 3 rounds. And the next day I couldn't even walk. My feet, my legs were so busted up. But it was a good experience.
What was it like fighting in Hawaii back then? Because I mean, I looked in this guy's record. He fought on Rumble on the Rock. That was a pretty crazy show back in the day. Because I think I remember from your story, at some point you went to the Peace Corps and did a master's degree and whatnot. I think there was a hiatus at some point in jiu-jitsu, but this was a really interesting period in MMA. And jumping on YouTube here, you were in the thick of it in 2005.
Yeah. So I started 2003. I fought until 2005. That fight was the last one. And that specific fight was organized because it was our entire MMA team against a Hawaiian MMA team. So we took our entire team out there. And even Chris Brennan, my coach, he fought against a Hawaiian guy. And there was a guy named Josh Smith. He fought. Adam Lynn, he fought. And I think it was 5 of us, 5-on-5. And it was and we won. I think our team won 3 out of the 5 fights, and that was what they wanted. They wanted a mainland team versus an island team, and it was cool. It was a great event. You know, that was the first time that they did. That was the first event for X1, and I think they still have events to this day. I think. And you know who else fought on that event? It was Dan Severn was on that event, I think. And I forgot. I think he fought Shannon the Cannon. Shannon Rich.
Oh, really?
Shannon Rich.
On that show?
Yep.
Yes. Yes. But it looked like such bullshit. Like when I watched it, it looked like Dan was acting like a WWE wrestler, you know? And I think Shannon hit him one time, and he got stunned, and he walked back, and he stumbled up back on his feet. And it was ridiculous because Dan Severn's fucking huge, and Shannon is 175 maybe 80 kilos. So
Shannon the Cannon.
I got it here. Yeah, I can see it right here, man. That's insane. That's Yeah, 2005, man. X1 World Events.
You know who else? And who
Won.
else? Jeff Monson fought on that event also.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, he did. Rich Wilson. Monson's a cool dude. I remember I had a random plane flight with him, and we just stood in the aisle because he was like in a different row, and we just talked.
Yeah, he's cool.
It was so cool.
He's a very
for like 2 hours.
person.
Yeah, fascinating. That's insane, man. That's just such a crazy time as well in the world. I think I feel like on a more serious note, moving towards the end here, I think a lot of people watching this show are going to be interested in your career, Josh, and a lot of kind of what you would say maybe have been your keys to success after all these years, after all the things you've done and been through. You didn't end up in corporate America with a master's in a finance degree, right? What have been the keys to carry you to where you are now today and where you think you'll end up?
It's funny because I just wrote a thing for Instagram that I haven't posted yet, but I was writing about how medals and championships and titles are really not as important as everyone thinks they are. And every champion will tell you this. And Kyle Terra has spoken on it a few times, and even Joe Rogan, I think, when he got his black belt speech. But he said the most important thing in this sport is the relationships you build, right? And I think this really is the key to success, because it doesn't matter how many championships you have. If you're an asshole, and if you have a hard time communicating with people, and you have a hard time relating to people, you're not going to have success. You're not going to have it. It doesn't matter how many titles or medals you win. And on the inverse side, if you don't win a lot of titles, but you're a competitor, but you know how to build relationships, you know how to talk to people, you know how to relate to people, you know how to teach, you have good communication skills, and you know how to just build relationships, you'll have a ton of success. And really, that's what I focused on. I focused on building relationships. And this is why I love teaching seminars, because you can travel to all these different places and countries. You meet these instructors that you maybe would never meet. You meet their students that you would maybe never meet. And you build these relationships with people, with these academies. And now you have these friends that you can always kind of go back to, or they can come visit you, or, anytime either one of you are traveling in the other person's territory, you can stop in and visit, and you have these relationships that you'll have forever. And this is really the key to success, So every weekend, when I first started training full time, I would go to every competition that I could possibly go to, even if I wasn't competing. So I would go and just watch. I would talk to people, and just network. I would just network. And that's really the best thing. To generate success, I think, in the sport, is just networking and meeting people and building friendships and relationships. And even I was the kids coach at Atos for about 5 or 6 years. And so this is really why I was at every tournament every weekend, because the kids were competing and I was coaching them. But of course, when you're there, who do you meet? You meet the parents of the kids who also train jiu-jitsu. You meet all the other coaches. You talk to the coaches. Some of them are your competitors. They're your opponents. Some of them are not. But again, you're building relationships. And this, I think, ultimately opens more doors for success than just having gold medals. But if you have both, this is the ideal situation, right? If you can have gold medals and you have good communication skills and you build good relationships, I think that's the key to success. And that's pretty much what I've tried to do. Yeah, I try to win as much as I can, and also build relationships with people. And I think there's a lot of competitors out there who think the gold medals are the most important thing. And I watch, even inside my own team, I watch competitors burn bridges because they want gold medals, and this is just not the way. It's not the way, because I know plenty of legendary athletes with great success in competition, but they have nothing. They have nothing. They don't have success outside of the competition. They have success in the competition, but that's not going to pay your bills. That's not going to build your legacy. It's not going to build you a home. Having success off the mats is more important, I think, than having success on the mats.
That's super refreshing to hear it spoken that way, to be honest, Josh, because you do see a lot of people that will only look at the gold medal or the championship belt as means of success. If you haven't got that, you have not made it. And I think that road can lead to a lot of disappointment, definitely. A lot of people have not learned, even professional athletes have still not learned how to deal with adversity in that way, and will crumble under that kind of pressure and feeling like they've got something to prove, or best way to describe it, or like they've let themselves down or their team down or something. And it's quite refreshing to hear it in that way. And on that kind of wave, like, is there something you've achieved in jiu-jitsu, be it medal or championship or something that stands out to you as one of your biggest achievements, whether that does mean of a gold medal or it's somewhere you've got, or you've gone through a period of your life where maybe it wasn't so structured or secure and you've managed to come out and get through to the end of a tournament, or you may not necessarily have won, but is there one of those standout moments for you in your career which you would class as one of your biggest achievements?
Yeah, I would go ahead and say it was the ADCC podium place, because I knew what ADCC was since the first month that I started training, because in 2003 is when I started, and my coach Chris was invited to ADCC in 2003, I think. Yeah, it was 2003, and he had the first round match against Marcelo and he lost. But also, one of my teammates, Erica Montoya, she was invited to ADCC, and she fought against Kiera Gracie. So this was my first 3 months of jiu-jitsu, and so I knew what ADCC was, and I didn't know what the IBJJF was until 2009, I think. Okay. And when they started hosting the Nogi World Championships, I think they started that in 2007. But yeah, I had no idea what the IBJJF was. I always knew what ADCC was, and I always wanted to go to that. And to win the trials, first of all, I think was really important for me. And then, to earn my position in the tournament, I thought was more important than to take an invitation. And then to go on the podium, after I told everyone in the interviews, I'm going to be on that podium. And then when I made the podium, I was, I was happy. I was very happy. Of course, I would have liked first place, and I know I could have taken that for sure. That tournament is just a matter of making one mistake, and I made one mistake, and it cost me. And I was happy to see Mateus win. Mateus Denise won the division, and Mateus and I have had many battles with each other over the years, and I was happy to see him win. But it just makes it a little more. It's bittersweet for me because I've beaten Mateus many times, not many, but more than once. He's beaten me also more than once, and to know that I could have had it and that I didn't get it, because of one mistake, it kind of stings. But at the same time, it's nice to know that I'm very capable of winning, and so that's my intention this year. There's no reason for me not to win it. So it's just a matter of going out there, doing your best, and not making a single mistake.
When you look back on this, entire career so far, even on maybe your life, even coming into jiu-jitsu, are there any sacrifices that you would classify as super necessary?
Lately I've been telling everyone that you don't become a black belt without sacrificing pieces of your body, and
probably true.
I've sacrificed a lot of my body for jiu-jitsu, but I also think I'm very lucky to have gone this far for this long and to be the age that I am. I turned 40 in a few months. To have made it this far without any catastrophic injuries, I think is really a blessing. I feel very lucky that I haven't suffered any really debilitating injuries. Just I have a lot of permanent disabilities now, on my fingers and my toes and knees. But again, like I said, you don't become a black belt without sacrificing pieces of your body, and you definitely don't become a black belt world champion without sacrificing a little bit more of your body. I don't regret anything. I love my life. I'm grateful every day I wake up, and I'm completely grateful for what I have and the experiences that I had, and what I've been able to do. I far surpassed all of my own expectations when I made the decision to do jiu-jitsu full time in 2014. When I came to San Diego, The plan was just to do it for full time for 1 year. I was going to just do it for 1 year and then go find a job in finance. And then 1 year turned into 2 years, turned into 3 years. And as long as I saw my income go up each year, even just a little bit, as long as it was going up and I had money in my bank, I said, I'll just keep going. I'm going to keep going until I run out of money. And then I'll go get a job. And I never ran out of money. And every year just got better and better and better. So, I think if anyone is thinking about this path, it's not an easy path. You have to suffer for some years. It's not suffer for a few months. It's suffer for a few years. But as long as you see progress every year, I think this is the key. If you wanted to go down the same path, you have to just really dedicate yourself to it and work your ass off and do everything you can to do everything correctly in terms of diet, exercise, strength and conditioning, and training jiu-jitsu. And just try to make progress, right? Every day, progress. They say, try to be 1% better every day. I think that's kind of bullshit, 1%, because if I was 1% better every day, I would be like 10,000% better than I am now. But incremental improvement is important. Yeah, is important.
For anyone coming up there, Josh, is there anything you would have done differently? Or like you say, anyone coming up, is there anything that you could give them to tell them, do not do this if you are on this path, to really let them catch up a little bit?
2 things. Don't quit.
Yeah.
Which is what I did at Blue Belt. When I was in the Peace Corps. Well, I didn't quit, but the team disintegrated and I didn't go find another team. And this is when I joined the Peace Corps and I was gone for 2 years. So I took a 2-year hiatus from training when I was a Blue Belt. This is the Blue Belt curse. And I regret that. I always wonder where I could have been or what I could have done had I not given up those 2 years of training. But every path leads us to where we need to be, right? And so maybe that break is something I needed in order for me to realize how much I love jiu-jitsu, right? Because I was training a lot and I was training MMA a lot and it was really taking a toll on me. And I think I was overdoing it. And so I think I burnt myself out in a matter of 2 years because I trained so much and so intensely. And also back then we trained MMA like idiots. We just live sparring every day, just concussions every day. So, so I think that the way people fight now is a bit more calculated and more intelligent. But I would say, don't quit. Even if you hit a plateau or you feel like you're not making progress, just stick with it. You can reduce your training intensity and your frequency, but don't quit. That was 2 years that I can never get back. And the last thing is I would do more competitions. I wish I had done more competitions when I was a purple belt and a brown belt, because I really only did 2 or 3 a year when I was a purple belt. Not even, maybe just 2. And when I was a brown belt, maybe I did 2 or 3 total, like in my entire brown belt. And then when I became a black belt, that's when I jumped in. And I wish I had started sooner. I wish I had more experience competing when I entered the black belt divisions. So just, train a lot and don't quit and compete as much as possible. This is the only way.
This is the way. As somebody said in a famous series, I'm actually watching the Book of Boba Fett right now, and he just came back. I'm on the episode where Mando came back. It's pretty good. Nobody watches that. Neither Damon or Josh watched the Mandalorian or the Book of Boba Fett.
I know what you were talking about, but I don't.
This is the way. This is the way. This is the quote, right? That was, you guys are killing me here, man. Adam Varginski, we had Adam on the other day. He'd have been all over you two. We'll have a 2-on-2. Varginski and I'll take on Hinger and Robinson at RAW Grappling Championship in July over minced words and Star Wars lore.
I knew what you were talking about.
We've got one.
I knew what you were talking about.
Okay, all right.
I don't watch it.
Okay. We've got one more thing to share with you. Damon, have you got it? We've got a little ADCC preview here. 88 kilos.
Yeah, so you're actually invited this year, Josh. Did I see right that you actually did you go and do the trials as well, even though you're invited?
No,
You didn't. Oh, okay.
No.
I don't know why I thought I saw you turn up at the trials or something, and even though you're invited there.
No.
Oh.
We've only had the East Coast trials, and I was I don't know where I was. I wasn't around, but the West Coast trials are coming up in a few weeks.
Yeah, fine. I don't know why I thought that, but yeah, no. What were you thinking of this bracket, Josh? Stacked bracket. Obviously.
Can you slide it over a little bit?
Can you see?
I can't quite see everyone.
You should be able to hit like control or something and scroll in on your mouse to view it.
See that?
I mean, I can see parts of it. Yeah.
Well, we got Matthias Denise, obviously.
I know who's in it. Yeah, even on the top of my head. Yeah.
Yeah. So super stacked division there.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's going to be tough. We were going over these ADCC brackets actually last week, and just every single weight category stacks. Like there's no easy run there for anybody.
Yeah.
And there's 3 people in your category there from Atos.
Yeah, it's super fucking stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm really disappointed in. I'm disappointed in Lucas for changing his division. For one,
what was he in?
He's in 99.
Is he changed? Come down.
Yeah, I don't know why he needed to do that because it's already me and Ty, and Ty was invited. The thing is like I was in the division because I won the trials and I got the invitation because I was on the podium, and then they invited Ty. I'm trying to think of who won the trials. I don't think Ty went. I think it was just Cade. Cade won the trials for 77. So Ty is going to 88. And then Lucas came down to 88. For what reason? I don't know. I think it's super stupid that ADCC approved this because now they literally have invited 3 people from the same team. It's not like any of us won the trials because we didn't, not this year. So they invited 3 people from the same team.
So what do you do in that situation? Like in our more localized tournaments, you see a lot of the time down here, you know, you have a bracket, 2 people from the same club, you close out the final, and half the time you flick a coin.
Yeah,
it's got to be slightly different at ADCC, no? Or you're just going to close a bracket? How would you? How would you do that?
You're not allowed to close the bracket if you. Well, first of all, they put all the teammates on the same corner together. So these are the first 2 matches. So Lucas and Ty will have to go first round with each other.
Really?
And then I will have someone else. I assume because I was the 3rd place position, I assume they're going to make those 2 go against each other first because they're the new guys in the division. Mm-hmm. And then I'll have to take the winner 2nd round. So all the teammates will be eliminated before the semifinals.
Jeez.
They don't want any teammates together in the semifinals or the finals.
That's crazy.
And because there was a controversy back in the day about Galvao and Drysdale in the semifinals of ADCC, and that they had a fake match so that Drysdale could go to the finals fresh, where he beat Marcelo. Okay. So that's what they don't want. They don't want teammates in the semifinals because one person could give the other person an easy match, like just kind of fake it. The problem is if you fake a match in ADCC, you're both disqualified and banned for life.
So that you literally just answered my next question. I was going to say to you, like, if you do come up against that, which it sounds like you're going to,
you don't have a choice.
I was going to say, is there some sort of gentleman's agreement in the gym where you say, look, if you get me into this position and I'm fully locked in and too much pressure here is going to cause a serious injury, do you kind of give your guy the pass and say, okay, you got me? Or if ADCC are then going to look at that negatively, have you just got to go? You just got
to have a go.
Yeah.
And because if they don't believe the match was real, they can just ban you for life. You'll never get invited back. So they have to see the match and believe it's real.
Crazy situation.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate that we're in this situation because in '99 we just have Kine and Duarte, and I think it would make much more sense for us to have 2 people at 99, 2 people at 88, and 2 people at 77. So I don't know. Strange.
So, in conclusion, if you could fight anybody in the world right now, and this may or may not be at ADCC, it could be anything, who would that matchup be and why?
Shanji, and it probably will happen at ADCC because I will request him first round. And it has nothing to do with like wanting to like beat him or like I like Shanji a lot. I think he's super cool. He's a legend, obviously. And we just agreed, actually, at the last ADCC, we were talking on the sidelines, watching the I think 99 division or something. And I told him, I said, Shanji, before I retire, I want us to have a match together. And he said, yeah. He's like, you're on my bucket list also. Before I retire, we'll have a match. And it's a bucket list. You know, it's just something like I want to have this experience before he retires or I retire. Because once you retire, that's it. You'll never have that experience again. It's never going to come back. It's never going to be possible. So I think to have a match with Shanji at ADCC would be just fucking cool. You know, just cool. It's just such a cool guy with great jiu-jitsu. He's a legend in the sport. He's accomplished so much. And I want to have that experience. I want to have that memory, you know, for myself. So I'm going to request that ADCC places me against Shanji first round. Yeah.
Amazing. That's amazing. That's a great way to end this. That's a positive way to end this. Josh, thanks so much for coming on today,
My
man.
pleasure.
It's been great to have you. Any final shout-outs sort of for folks
Oh,
watching?
you know, I got to give
wanna...
a shout out to Tommy Fightwear, of course, as my gi sponsor. I love them dearly. They're local boys, huh? For you guys.
Yep.
And I just want to say that, you know, it's a great company, great brand. I love their apparel. I love their gis. I love their casual wear. And they're just good people. And that's the most important thing, is to do business with good people. And they are good people. So it was nice to travel Europe and see all the tatami gis, because it's obviously much more common in Europe than it is in the States. But awesome guy, awesome people. And also Monkey Tape. I've been with Monkey Tape. I was their first sponsored athlete ever, actually. And I've been with them for years. And I love those guys too. And lastly, CBD Distillery. I gotta love my CBD Distillery. Look, I'm just gonna go ahead and do product placement. Boom, product placement for CBD Distillery. Again, awesome people, awesome products. So you guys can, I just want to thank them and for helping me live this dream life that I live.
Amazing. You'll be very pleased to know, Josh, all of my gis are
Good.
tatami.
They're good gis. They're not. They're
shit
great at all. They're really good quality gis, and I like them a lot.
Literally half the time in the UK is like, it's literally all you can buy at some of these shops. So it's just so much of it here, you know.
Yeah,
like if you go to a shop that's selling jiu-jitsu stuff, you like have one choice, tatami.
Tatami. Yeah, good. Yeah, good for them, man.
Yeah,
they're.
I've got some good rash guards as well, though, Damon. It's not just the
just
gi
the gis,
game, right?
yeah.
We gotta get some love to the no gi guys, right? Damon, anything from you, man?
No, just thanks for coming on, Josh. Really enjoyed
Pleasure.
that conversation with you. Gave some good insight as well. Some really good bits in there, which I think people are going to enjoy listening to and take some of it on board, I hope, as well, which is good. And go on.
What episode number is this?
This is number 3.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Number 3.
Awesome.
Yeah, episode number 3. We're going to try and do it quite regularly. Like we want to release an episode every single week. Just see where we can take it.
Yeah, cool.
So we want to keep going. But yeah, we'll be looking out for you at the ADCC. We also have another event back in London coming in July, which is, we think, is going to probably be one of the last big events people get into before the ADCC, which is why it's in July. So we're going to start releasing some information on that soon. So
Cool.
hopefully we'll be in touch, Josh, and just enjoy training. Don't travel too much.
Yeah. Well, give me a holler if you guys ever want to do this again. I'd be happy to do it again. And,
100%, definitely.
Yeah, it'd be cool. I appreciate it, and I had a good time talking to you guys.
Likewise.
Can we get you to join in on comms if you end up over in London competing? Can we do like a Jeff Glover moment where, you know, you come off the comms desk and go to your
I'll
fight
never
and then
forget
come back?
that moment too when he did that. I remember that.
Yeah. Yoshida? Yep.
Yeah, and I've always thought about that too. I thought that would be so cool to do that, you know. But like, man, can you imagine just getting out there like off a chair, you know, like just stiff and like not warm? Jeff did it though. Jeff's he's a fucking legend, man. He's a lunatic, but he's a fucking legend.
I did it before, actually. I did it on an MMA show. Yeah,
MMA
I did.
show?
A regional show. Yeah, no. You think I'm joking? So the guy showed up, and his opponent didn't. It was a regional MMA show in like a fairground, like extra tent. Like it was a tent. It was in a tent at a fairground, and the promoter was just like, forget this. He's like, all these people sold all these tickets, and this guy's opponent hasn't showed up. Like, and I was just like, all right, man. Like, I know him. We had trained together, and I was like, I won't do an MMA fight, but I'll do a submission only. I think we did I think it was 15 minutes, and I submitted him in the end.
Was you commentating the show?
But it was brutal because.
Was you commentating the show as well? So
yeah.
That's fucking bad. That's badass.
Yeah,
that's legendary.
Yeah. I think, you know what? I think you know what? You want to even know this? I just remember this now. I actually emceed it as well. I commentated it. I emceed it. We brought the guy out. So here's what happened is I requested like a break, like a 10-minute drinks break, and I went back, warmed up, put my suit back on. I had my spats. I was wearing the Scramble Rainbow spats, if you remember those back in the day. They were really slick. And then I went into the ring to announce the next fight right after the break, which of course was this guy. And then his opponent didn't show up, so he played the whole "his opponent isn't here, what's going on?" And then I took off my suit.
Superman.
Oh man,
that's great, man. That
was ridiculous.
I admire that. The willingness to just get out there cold turkey and do it, man. That's respectable. So good for you.
Yeah, I got rubber guard, man. I was happy. He had a mohawk as well. He had this big red mohawk, and I thought, if I get nuked by this guy and he's got a mohawk, it's gonna make me even look more ridiculous. But whatever, right? That's the whole thing. Anyways, Raw Grappling Championship. You can follow us on Instagram on Raw Grappling Championship. You can also check us out on YouTube, where these episodes are going, and wherever else they end up. And final shout out, April 3rd, the Road to Raw tournament. You can check that out at Smooth Comp, and we hope to see you there. It should be a good opportunity. If you've seen Raw Grappling Championship, the Road to Raw could take you in that direction. Rumor has it, right, Damon?
That's right. Get involved. We've said about it many times now, but yeah, get involved in that tournament. 3rd of April for colored belts, black belts, anything there, and it could lead to good things, on some of these other shows, and see where it gets you.
All right, so for Chris Hoekstra, for Josh Hinger, and for Damon Robinson, this is the Raw Grappling Podcast, and thank you so much for watching and following us, and we'll see you guys for the next episode.
Cheers, man.